Oh yeah, welcome back to day 64. Today was also the first time in ever that I ever heard Grimes was married to really backlit. I don't know who, Elon Musk. I never heard her speak before, but today was the first time I ever heard her speak, which was really funny to me. Yeah, no, so my dog was working outside and it was like midnight. So I'm like, okay. So we were trying to get him in with like food and stuff. But he knows the longer he barks, the more stuff he can get. Or the better stuff. He's trying to hold out until he gets stuff that he wants. So I'm like, okay, do you want out of the car drive? And he ran inside, ran to the door. We haven't used that saying in years. So I was like, dang, you really remembered that, huh? So I had to drive around the neighborhood at 1 in the morning with 2 dogs in the back seat, and I'm just like, that's fair. Also, I shaved my head. I didn't. My sister did, but clearly I didn't dye it. Ooh, maybe I should. Should I do that tonight? Should I? No, maybe. No, I should probably bleach it again because the back is frosted tips. It's just frosted tips. I was trying to find a better way to say it, but it's just frosted tips. Yeah, my county is moving forward to people getting shots, and it's 1B, I think we're at, and 1A is like doctors and nurses, and 1B is blah blah. I think that's how it goes. But because I'm fat, I'm in that category, so I'm like, I'll sign up, sure, why not? So I did that, and mom smokes, so she's also registered for that section. But I don't think my eldest sibling, because she's skinnier than me and she does not smoke, that I don't know if she actually can do it, which is really humorous to me because I gotta qualify, but I don't know if she will. Just saying. Like just like glowing light, just like yep. Yeah, we switched the other dog's medicine to try to make it better results, and he, instead of having better results, he actually got worse, but he also gained a lot of weight. So when we tried to put him in his harness, he was just a little too chunky and didn't fit. Not great, but we're hopefully switching back after we see if the new we tried like 3 is better than the original or not. So far none of them have been. Yeah, I also recently learned that apparently our basement has radon, which can cause headaches and cancer. I would hang out, like, our kid room was down there. Like, not a kid room, our TV room. Yeah, our, like, TV room. It was the room with the TV. And, I would be down there for hours and hours and hours. I should bring that up to my doctor. I really should, because that's not okay. That's not good. Yeah, I'm wearing a shirt underneath, and I realize it's like chewed up and stuff. And I'm like, I mean, it is years old, and I only have like 15 sleep shirts, and I try to re-wear them when I can. But that's at least like washing them once a month if I like double, or at least, or it would be twice a month. So the idea that like 1.5 months I need to wash them. No. 0.75. 0.75. 3/4 of a month. I need to wash them. Well, over 7 years. Yeah, that's a lot of washes. You know, and this shirt isn't even mine. This is my dad's shirt that I stole from his closet many years ago. Yeah, I'm not surprised it's getting eaten up. I already tried sewing like a hole like down here, but yeah, what was really funny is when Ethan was being the gumgoozler, anyways, whatever it was, and he was being that. Is that from somewhere? Because I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, oh, he took it from somewhere, but I don't think he did. But then looking it up, it did have to do with like people watching boats go by. So I'm just like, did you know it had something to do with water? Is it just a word that sounds like it has something to do with water? Did he subconsciously know something about it? Like, it's just really odd that he knew that, you know, like, made that be the thing. Anyways, I'm knitting a pair of socks for my sibling, and I want to knit more for my aunt, which was a very sweet experience. I'll talk about it whenever. But what happened was I'm knitting the pair of socks, and I'm about a fourth of the way done through the first sock, and I'm just like, you know, the worst part, you have to do it twice. You know, it's not a scarf where you're like, oh, I'm a fourth of the way done. It's like, no, 2 separate pieces, you're done. Either it's yarn not on your needles, you can just be like, I'm good, I'm done, this is good, I'm complete. It's like, nope, you have to just keep going. Why am I at this angle? Yeah, whatever, I don't care. So what I'm saying is it's really odd that just you want to quit after this one sock. You just want to be out. And I don't know if other people do, but I'm just like, one sock, I'm good. But nope. And wanting to knit something for my aunt, I'm like, maybe socks. However, if I want to make socks, that isn't 2 more, like there's 2 more socks on top of it. I'm only 1/4 of the way down. So if in total 16, I'm only 1/16 of the way down with my projects, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, that's really hard to want to just keep going forever. Yeah, I don't know, I don't wanna. I made a blanket that took forever to do. So what I did is I made a very, very complicated, well, to me, a very, very complicated crocheted blanket. And I took 7 to 8 months of doing, and I did it, and I just kept trying, and I tried, and I tried, and I tried, until finally I was finished with it. And I'm like, I should have got better materials. I got really cheap materials, and I'm like, whatever. So I gave it to my aunt, and I was like, it's not as good as I wish it could have been, but it's not the worst. And she's just like literally looking at it and looking at me, and I'm like, oh, she hates it. She hates it. You know, I should have just bought her a blanket. Literally, it would have been so much cheaper. It would have been less time. And I'm like, I should just gave her own blanket. Like, just buy a blanket. I should have just bought her a blanket, right? She looks at it. And she picks it up, and she's like, "Did you make this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it looks cheap. I'm sorry." She starts crying, and I'm like, what do I do? She's crying. She's looking at me. She's crying. She's looking at me, and she's crying. What do I do? So finally, I'm like, okay, well, what should I do? So I go, and I'm like, oh, do you like it? She's like, yeah, of course I like it. I'm like, oh, okay. Apparently her grandmother, my great grandmother, would make blankets like that, like crochet blankets. And she's like, I didn't realize someone in our family still did that. And she was really impressed. And she's like, this is like a blanket that my great grandmother, my great grandmother would have made. And apparently meant a lot to her to have it. And I hope she likes it. I hope she uses it. I told her it's machine washable because it's made out of plastic. By plastic, I mean like plastic yarn. Plastic yarn. It's plastic yarn. Because I got it just at like Michael's, and I'm like, I should have swung for way more expensive materials. The problem is that was the very first like motif, and the only one I ever made motif blanket. I made 2 other blankets. Well, I made many other blankets, but 2 other blankets I liked, and they were those weren't like motif blankets. It was just like a regular crocheted blanket with like giant loops, and they were chunky yarn. But this one had very thin yarn, and it was a lot of motifs. There were like motifs that were like this big around, and a few inches, like 3.5 inches around, and there's like 5 different color motifs, and you do them in different colors, and I needed to make sure I had enough motifs of every color and don't mess up making the motifs and don't let them blow up. So finally then you had, what you do is then you start connecting them all, and then you do the border. And the reason why I got cheap ones is because I'm like, if I mess up, if I fail this completely, I didn't want expensive materials. But I don't know, I haven't seen it in over a year, so I hope it looks okay, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, she just started crying, and it's something that you can't, like, it's just, I don't know, you know, giving something that meant so much to someone that you didn't realize would mean so much. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know what I want to make my aunt next. Yeah, she gave me a shirt. I don't know if I said. It's just a big ball of yarn with glasses that say crochet nerd on it.